diffraction and interference. When a wave enters a new medium, it may speed up or slow down. What are the properties wave do you think might change when it enters a new medium? If a wave reaches type of matter, cannot pass it through, does it just stop moving? If not, where does it go? Did you ever hear an echo of your own voice? Echo occurs when sound waves bounce back from a hard object. Have you ever tried to create an echo by shouting towards a rock wall? When the sound wave strikes the rock wall, can pass it through. Instead, they bounce back towards you, and you hear an echo of your own voice. Echo is just one example of how wave interact with matter. Wave interacts with matter in several ways. The interaction occurs when wave passes from one medium to another. Besides bouncing back like an echo, waves may bend or spread out when they strike a new medium. Three ways sound waves may interact with matter are called reflection, refraction, and diffraction. What is reflection? Echoes an example of wave reflection. Reflection occurs when wave bounces back from a barrier, cannot pass through. Reflection can happen with any type of waves, not just sound wave. For example, ocean waves are reflected by rock on shore. Light wave can also be reflected. In fact, that's how we see most objects from a light source, such as the sun or light bulb shines on the object, and some of the light is reflected. When the reflected light enters the eye, you can see the object. Reflected waves have the same speed, frequency as the original wave before they were reflected. However, the direction of the reflected wave is different. Waves strike an obstacle head-on. The reflected wave bounces straight back in the direction they come from. When waves strike an obstacle at any other angle, they bounce back same angle but in a different direction. Waves strike a wall at an angle called the angle of incidence. Waves are reflected at the same angle called the angle of reflection, but in a different direction. Both angles are measured relative to a line that's perpendicular to the wall. What is refraction? Refraction is another way that a wave interacts with matter. Refraction occurs when waves bend as they enter a new medium at an angle. For example, this pencil looks broken when it enters the water. Because of the refraction of light waves, light bends when it passes from air to water. Bending of the light causes the pencil to appear broken. While the waves bend as they enter a new medium, waves usually travel at a different speed in a different media. For example, light travels more slowly, water than air, causes it to refract when it passes from air to water. What is diffraction? Did you ever notice that when you are walking down the street, you can hear sounds around the corner of buildings? For example, the person can hear the radio around the corner of the building because of the diffraction of sound waves. Because sound waves spread out, travel around obstacles, it's called diffraction. Also occurs when wave passes through an opening into an obstacle. A wave may be diffracted, but is more pronounced in some type of wave than others. For example, sound wave bend around corners much more than light does. That's why you can hear but not see around the corners. For a given type of wave, such as sound waves, how much the wave diffract depends on two factors, such as the obstacle or opening in the obstacle and the wavelengths. Diffraction is minor, the length of the obstacle or opening is greater than the wavelengths. Diffraction is major, if the length of the obstacle or opening is less than the wavelengths. How waves interact with other waves? Waves interact not only with matter in waves, waves also interact with other waves. It's called wave interference. Wave interference may occur when two waves that are traveling in opposite direction meet. The two waves passes through each other, and this affects their amplitude. How amplitude is affected depends on the type of interference. Interference can be constructive or destructive. What is constructive interference? Constructive interference occurs when the crest of one wave overlaps the crest of another wave, and the wave passes through each other, which crests combine to produce a wave with greater amplitude. What is destructive interference? Destructive interference occurs when cross of one wave overlapping the tracks of another wave. The wave passes through each other. Cross and trough cancel each other out to produce a wave with less amplitude. What is standing waves? When waves is reflected straight back from an obstacle, the reflected wave interferes the original wave and creates a standing wave. This is a wave that appears to be standing still. A standing wave occurs because of a combination of constructive and destructive interference between one wave and its reflected wave. I make a summary. Reflection occurs when wind bounces back from a barrier cannot pass through. A reflection occurs when waves bend as they enter a new medium. At an angle, diffraction occurs when waves spread out around an obstacle or after passing through an opening in an obstacle. Wave interference occurs when waves interact with other waves. Constructive interference increases the wave amplitude. Destructive interference decreases the wave amplitude. That's it. Thank you very much. Taiwan and Dimesco had number 2 and To Life by J. Bach. And that's it. I'm Jude.